This is CBC Vancouver News.
Do the right thing. Come forward, speak to police, and provide closure to the hundreds of kids and families who have been impacted by this.
Police now say a fire that wiped out a Port Coquitlam elementary school was human-caused. Plus,
we know that workplaces that are safer and better staffed are better for patients and better for nurses.
a first in Canada. BC is setting nurse-to-patient ratios to improve hospital care and offering bonuses for nurses to work in remote and rural areas. Also, we take you to the celebration for Hobier, the Nishga New Year. Good evening, I'm Dan Burritt. Thanks for joining us. Dozens of people gathered to protest an Indian government official's presence in Surrey tonight. It is the first time such a figure has been at a public event in that city since a prominent Sikh leader was shot dead last year. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau later accused the Indian government of playing a role in that killing. But as Saurabh Sandhu reports, the focus inside the event was trade.
The Indian High Commissioner's presence at a Board of Trade event in Surrey drew a sharp reaction from a group of local Sikhs. More than 50 protesters gathered outside the Sheraton Guildford Hotel to denounce Sanjay Kumar Verma. They waved flags, chanted slogans, and at one point tried to block the entrance of the hotel. Their anger stems from the killing of pro-Khalistan activist Hardeep Singh Nijjar. He was shot dead outside a Surrey Gurdwara last June. From the beginning, some Sikh separatists have alleged the government of India played a role in Nijjar's killing. And last fall, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau also accused the government of India of having a hand in Nijjar's death. The Indian government has denied the claims, and relations between the two countries have been tense.
Normalizing relationships with India, with the High Commission, without any form of evidence of equity or justice towards the Sikh community, towards the killing of by Hardeep Singh Nijjar, it's impossible to have. So this event here it's really a slap in the face to the community.
Inside the event, Sanjay Verma focused on the importance of trade ties between India and Canada. CBC News asked him about the disruptions outside.
I would say don't disrupt the relationship. It's too large a relationship to be disrupted. If you have concern, voice your concern with civility. We have always said, and I maintain here as well, that we need something specific and relevant to see, to help Canadian investigation. There is a Canadian citizen shot in Canada, and that is what is known. Rest is all black box.
This talk was the first time a high-ranking Indian official made a public appearance in Surrey since Nijjar was killed. Last year, a similar event was cancelled after a large group protested it. Saurabh Sandhu, CBC News, Surrey.
Investigators in Port Coquitlam now say they believe a fire that wiped out a school was caused by people. Hazel Trimbath Elementary School burned to the ground in October and displaced 500 or more students. Chad Posset has the latest on the investigation.
After a nearly 5-month investigation into the Hazel Trimbath fire, police are now sure somebody caused it.
It is confirmed what we suspected, that the cause of the fire was human-caused and it is criminal in nature.
The fire began in the early morning hours of Saturday, October 14th. When firefighters arrived, the school was fully engulfed in flames. Its destruction has displaced hundreds of students. Carr says the investigation is a priority for his force. It's now looking to identify suspects. Port Coquitlam Mayor Brad West is also asking people to come forward.
Do the right thing. Come forward, speak to police, and provide closure to the hundreds of kids and families who have been impacted by this really unthinkable act.
Parents from the school say its destruction has been a hardship, now made more difficult learning someone conspired over the fire.
I think it just makes it that much harder for the school community to process that. How could somebody do this to our kids' school, and why? That's the bigger question.
It's difficult to realize that two of my children definitely won't be attending school elementary school in their community. And maybe my daughter will get to graduate from the New Hazel if it is rebuilt.
Since the fire, the kindergarten to grade 5 students from the school, some 500 of them, have been relocated to a former high school. In December, the school district said it would take until the end of April to clear and demolish the burned building before it can be rebuilt. Chad Pawson, CBC News, Vancouver.
Police say a pedestrian has been killed after being hit by a car in Victoria this morning. It's the 4th pedestrian death reported on Vancouver Island in just over a month. Police say the driver is cooperating with them. On Thursday, a 42-year-old woman died in Souk after she was struck by a driver. Police say that person stayed on the scene and has been ticketed for driving without due care and attention. ICBC says there has been an average of 8 pedestrian deaths each year on the island over the past 5 years, and October to January are the most dangerous months. A first in Canada, BC has now established nurse-to-patient ratios to improve hospital care. This is a look at the new ratios that will be implemented in 6 areas of care, including general medicine and intensive care. The province has also announced signing bonuses to help encourage nurses to work in remote and northern communities. Starting next month, eligible nurses filling positions in the north could get up to $30,000, while nurses in other rural and remote areas could get up to $20,000.
We know that workplaces that are safer and better staffed are better for patients and better for nurses.
The Health Ministry says it's spending almost $240 million to support the new ratios and help retain and recruit staff. It also says it will work with the BC Nurses Union to set ratios for any remaining hospital settings as well as non-hospital ones. A tour guide in BC is being called a hero for pulling a man to safety after an avalanche hit a group of snowmobilers earlier this week near Revelstoke. The CBC's Benit Bright spoke with our Corey Bullock in Cranbrook on the story.
Tell us what happened here.
Yeah, absolutely. So in Revelstoke, as you mentioned, Olivier Mayer was guiding a group down the mountain when he noticed another group of snowmobilers frantically searching through the snow. He told his guided group to stay put, and he went over to help. The snowmobilers told him that their friend had been buried by a level 3 avalanche, and they were looking for him. So Mayer jumped in and asked if, these men had their transponders on and if they were able to find a signal for their friend. Unfortunately, they weren't. So Mayer turned his on and was able to find a signal a little bit further away. They were able to get their friend unburied. And he had been under the snow for about 15 minutes at that time.
Wow.
He was blue in the face, having trouble breathing, but eventually he came to and they were able to warm him up. Thankfully, multiple people had set off their SOS beacons, so more help arrived fairly quickly. And Mayer says the man was thankfully uninjured, but I think everybody is still shaken from this incident, Benit.
Yeah, and I know there has been a lot of applause for this rescue, but, there's a lot of avalanche safety concerns right now. What does this story kind of speak to in terms of being prepared?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Mayer did say that, it's imperative that when you're in the backcountry, you have the proper equipment and the proper training. And we're seeing that right now as Avalanche Canada has issued a special avalanche warning for BC and Alberta. We've had all this fresh snow, but that's covering a weak layer. So anybody headed out into the backcountry this weekend is urged to stay out of avalanche terrain.
Corey Bullock in Cranbrook. Vancouver's biggest employer in the gaming industry is cutting 5% of its workforce. In a statement to team members, Electronic Arts says it will be laying off about 670 employees and closing some offices.
I think it is, a number of factors. I think that there was a growth in the industry during the pandemic. A lot more people were playing video games, and I think a lot of the game companies responded to that and hired up. And I think people have gone back to work, and they're finding themselves a little less, time available for playing video games and finding out about video games.
Well, still with employment, it is March 1st, and it's more than just the first day of a new month. It's also Employee Appreciation Day. We hit the streets to ask people if they feel appreciated by their employer.
Do you feel appreciated at work?
Absolutely not, because I haven't gotten a raise yet.
For the most part, yes.
I do.
Yes, I create on my own workplace, and I'm happy that I'm able to provide the service I give to all the patients and clients.
What makes you feel appreciated at work?
A good paycheck, a good raise. Just getting paid what we're worth is much more, now these days especially. Knowing how things are going economically.
I don't looking for the boss that's very controlling you. I looking to boss that look at you like human being.
I think for the most part, just like get more encouragement, like some really good words. That's it. That's all I want, really.
The Vancouver Whitecaps are celebrating half a century of North American pro soccer this season. There have been several incantations of the team. What is now a Major League Soccer team was once part of the now defunct North American Soccer League, which ran from 74 to 84. Take a look at the first season opener for the Caps.
$17,343 people on hand for the first game in the 1974 season for the Vancouver Whitecaps. The St. Mary's Drum and Bugle Corps, 120 strong, got the afternoon underway with an impressive marching display at Empire Stadium. A miserable afternoon for soccer, and certainly not a very enjoyable afternoon for those that had to get out there and entertain the 17,000 plus fans in attendance. Parachutists dropping the first ball at Empire Stadium, and then San Jose make their appearance, and on come the Vancouver Whitecaps, kicking free Adidas soccer balls into the stands. Sammy Newsom taking his warm-up, and look at Jimmy Easton, a very nervous and excited coach at this point in the afternoon, making his first appearance with the Whitecaps. The official toss of the coin, and the Whitecaps win that one. The Mayor of Vancouver, and he gets to kick the ball off right into the net. They're going to have a contest throughout the season to see which celebrity can kick the ball the furthest, and certainly the Mayor of Vancouver got a good shot away that time. A look at the Vancouver Whitecaps as they get set to make their first appearance at Empire Stadium in the 1974 season. And the game is underway. Should be pointed out that because of the rain, the pitch at Empire Stadium, the artificial turf, was very, very slow. And was the winning goal by Mark Demling of San Jose. He will beat Newsom with this kick, and Brian Gant with the next kick misses. San Jose win it 2-1.
So now the Whitecaps are kicking off their 2024 season tomorrow as they host Charlotte FC at BC Place. Early Edition host Stephen Quinn chatted with two former Whitecaps this morning. Current club ambassador Carl Valentine has many memories of his first game under the dome.
We were the first sporting event. I think the Queen was the first event in there. We were the first sporting event. And yes, sold out stadium, 60,000 people, Seattle Sounders, Peter Beardsley got a couple of goals and we won 2-1. So we have a great history and, we're really looking forward to celebrating all that this year.
Meanwhile, Tosaint Ricketts, a Whitecaps player liaison, also looked back on the growth he's seen over the years with the team.
The growth of the organization as a whole and how that aligns with the market. The team is good. The players have strong ambitions. Just speaking to the players, they want to win. They want to win for their city. They want to bring something special to Vancouver, and this year's going to be special.
And heads up, fans, a jersey swap is taking place tomorrow at the season opener. The first 500 fans can bring in any jersey and exchange it for one of those new Whitecaps kits. Coming up, we take you to Hobier, the celebration of the Nishga New Year, and learn how people are reconnecting with their culture. Stick around. Hello to everyone watching our commercial-free live stream tonight. A Northern Manitoba hockey team, which prepares players for the juniors and college ranks, is going to stay in its city. It comes after community outcry over a proposal to move it elsewhere. As the CBC's Josh Crabb reports, the decision is a big relief to people in the north.
The Norman North Stars U18 AAA hockey team may not be going to the playoffs this season, but they've scored a big win off the ice. Thompson's mayor Colleen Smook was among many who fought to save the team.
Oh, it's fantastic. Everybody is so excited.
The North Stars play in the Manitoba U18 AAA Hockey League. Norman is comprised of players from communities and First Nations across the north. Wednesday night, the league's directors voted against a proposal that could have seen the team amalgamate with the Dauphin-based Parkland Rangers. Both teams have struggled historically to make the postseason. Commissioner Levi Taylor says the league is simply looking for ways to improve player development and increase competition.
Our directors voted that we want to maintain the existing boundaries and establish what we are calling the Manitoba Elite Hockey League.
Under the proposal, Taylor says the new Elite League would oversee U15, U17, and U18 AAA programs, but both the North Stars and Kenora Thistles can remain in the league. Former Norman player Tony Apatagan from Norway House Cree Nation says the team helped him pursue his hockey dreams.
A lot of kids play hockey up north, I know that, and that's the team you want to go play for when you want to play competitive hockey. It's a great program and just opens up a lot of doors.
The North Stars declined comment, but in a social media post, the team expressed its sincere appreciation to everyone for their unwavering support and enthusiasm. Hockey Winnipeg's executive director Ian McCartan says the organization is glad the North Stars are staying put.
We're a big fan, big supporter, a big proponent of Norman and their program. The realities of that region are so different than the realities of ours, and it's important to work together and to figure out what's best for everybody involved.
McCartan says Hockey Winnipeg doesn't support the idea of moving U15 and U17 teams under the umbrella of a new league. It's been running those programs for years. That proposal still needs approval from Hockey Manitoba. Josh Crabb, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Members of the Nishga Nation are marking Hobiye, the Nishga New Year, this weekend. It celebrates the last crescent moon in February, the start of a new harvest season. The festivities included the grand entrance at the Peony Forum earlier tonight. Our Wamish Hamilton has this look ahead of the weekend gathering.
They come from the Nass Valley in northern BC. But these Nishga dancers aren't visiting. They live here in Vancouver.
We get a little taste of home coming together like this.
The Nishga Samik's traditional dancers are running a full dress rehearsal ahead of Friday night. The moment hundreds will watch, gather and feast for Hobiye, the Nishga New Year. Hundreds of Indigenous people converge on the Peony Forum for a celebration of identity and connection.
It keeps our family together. It teaches my children and my now new grandbaby our culture. We get to participate in our culture and just keep our culture alive, even though we're not living on our home community.
Hobiye celebrates the last crescent moon in February. The Nishga believe if the shape of the moon is open, the year's fish harvest will be good. If it's closed, the smokehouses will be empty. Tanya Percival didn't grow up dancing for a big crowd at Hobier. But, she says, watching the next generations embrace their culture means it won't disappear.
I feel pride, I do. I look at my kids and I think, because we didn't grow up with it, my sister and I, that I'm glad we made the decision to, actually I think my kids more or less made the decision to pull me up to dance when they were smaller. So I feel a lot of pride when I see them.
Jerry Adams was in his late 60s when he says Hobier helped him embrace his people's rich culture.
I felt I had no heart, no feel being a Nishga, and I felt I had no place in the world of who I was, and I think it was important to become a Nishga, to find out my identity, and that was lost for over 60 years. I wasn't able to speak my language. I was afraid to be with my people.
His daughters brought him to his first dance practice only a few years ago. He says something overcame him that he hadn't felt in years.
Initially, I was not willing to go, and I was afraid to do that. But as my heart was feeling more like a Nishga, I felt that was important to start learning my drumming and dancing in my language.
Among others, he's learning from Denise Doolin.
Our core group is 30, but at Hobier we'll probably get about 100 dancers.
She remembers when Hobier was held at the Friendship Center at Commercial in Hastings in the mid-1990s. It's grown so big year after year, they keep renting bigger venues.
We started this group again so that people can get to know not only how to dance and the culture, but how to learn how to speak their language.
Jerry says that connection has made all the difference for him. He marvels at young Nishga displaying their regalia with ease and pride. He says there's no shame, no need to hide, as he once did.
You see the little ones, they're not afraid to show their love. You see them drumming and dancing. To me, that's teaching the kids. They grow up with that, and that's what Nishga is all about, is that they can grow up and not be ashamed of themselves. And that's what I lost, and these kids are getting it right away.
Hobier is free to attend. The Nishga opened the doors for everyone to take part in celebrating the New Year. Wamish Hamilton, CBC News, Vancouver.
Here's a live shot overlooking Burrard Inlet into downtown Vancouver at the North Shore. A South Coast weekend in winter, rain near the sea, flurries in the mountains. Darius has your BC-wide weather picture after this.
Drivers passing by along Cumberland Avenue, this doesn't look like your average portable washroom.
It's painted by Jordan Stranger. We didn't want it to look like a boring old, portable washroom.
Michelle Wickerink is the executive director of the Spence Neighborhood Association. It's one of several organizations that partnered with the city of Winnipeg to set up temporary public washrooms in and around downtown.
Anyone who has been at the park with their kid and needed a washroom knows how important it is to have a washroom at times. All of us have experienced that moment in public when you're like, oh my goodness, I need a washroom right now.
The launch of the temporary toilet project grew out of years of work by health advocates to increase access to public facilities. That led to the construction of a new permanent bathroom on Main Street. This is Amawigamick. It's Winnipeg's only permanent public washroom in the downtown. Since it opened, it's seen a steady increase in the number of monthly visitors, 4,200 in December. Now the city is looking at creating an incentive program to encourage private businesses and organizations to open their own public washrooms. In 2019, the Downtown Winnipeg Biz did a survey to find out how many businesses had publicly accessible washrooms. Out of 350 businesses contacted, only 46 offered their facilities to non-customers. Incentives could include funding for additional staff, training, and maintenance costs. Community Services Chair Evan Duncan says the provincial health department should help.
I'm looking forward to their budget and hopefully seeing
a partnership with them to increase the number of public washrooms.
Wicker Inc. says the response from the community to their public washroom has been positive.
They were very glad to see that there was going to be a clean, safe facility where people could go.
The Community Services Committee will consider the idea of incentives for public washrooms at its meeting on March 6th. Cameron McLean, CBC News, Winnipeg.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
On March 12th, join CBC Vancouver's Michelle Elliott at the YWCA City Shifts free event, Reimagining Our Cities, Advancing Equity in a Polarized Time. For more information, visit ywcavan.org. And never miss a special programming series, event, or contest. Subscribe to CBC Vancouver's e-newsletter at cbc.ca/Vancouver inbox and keep connected with us.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace. To cool and clean the air in your home, call Direct Buy Furnace. Installing Trane, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
As we slide or stumble or glide into the weekend, our science and climate specialist Doris Madavi is going to tell us what we're going to get if we're outdoors.
I'm feeling a bit stumbly today, Dan, but it's Friday.
Get in line, pal.
Yes. Our highs today were a little bit lower than average across much of the southern parts of the province, but overall not looking too out of the ordinary across most areas. Just a bit of that cool air still lingering. As we look ahead, temperatures stay pretty low on parts of the south coast through the weekend, but early next week those temperatures start to come up during the day. So our daytime temperatures come up. Vancouver hits the double digits once again, coming up 4 or 5 degrees, but our nighttime lows are going to drop. But we'll see that in a second. If we take a look at our precipitation across the province, you can see plenty more snow for parts of the interior. Now, some of that could fall as rain in some of those valleys, but a more broad-scale model just shows the snow. And if we look on the south coast, plenty of rain still for parts of the coast, but at times, because the freezing levels are quite low, especially during evening times and overnight, we could see that snow come down to close to sea level, which we saw today in Vancouver when we got a few 1 or 2 centimeters of snow up in higher elevations, places like North Vancouver and SFU. But that shouldn't be, or that might continue through the weekend, but by early next week, as things start to dry up, we shouldn't see that anymore. As you can see, though, not too much snow coming to most of the province, but some more for those high elevation mountain ranges, which is good news, as well as a little bit for the northeast. But right now, given the conditions, every little bit counts. On the south coast, though, not too much there. And beneath these, the white parts here, it's just trace amounts of snow, just a dusting for the most part there. We're looking at the rain that's just hidden by this map. Now, if we zoom back out to the rest of the province, you can see our conditions for tomorrow, relatively calm. Most of these are just scattered flurries and showers, not looking like anything too extreme. But if we zoom into Vancouver for our 5-day forecast, you can see still some activity this weekend, especially during those overnight periods. But by early next week, we get the drier and sunnier conditions, although be careful going out at night. Wear your hat.
Captain Contrast. It is March. Thanks, Doris. Have a good weekend.
You too, Dan.
And that is your late news for Friday. Thank you for joining us tonight on all this busy week. For news at any hour, check our website, cbc.ca/BC. Your next local news is tomorrow morning at 6:30 on CBC Radio 1. And Tanya Fletcher will be in the chair for your late news tomorrow night at 10:30, right after hockey. So, good night. Enjoy the weekend. Stay safe.